But our top story is from neighboring Pakistan. Peshawar's army public school has turned today into a graveyard. In a cowardly and desperate act, the Taliban targeted over 120 school children. They were taken hostage, used as human shields, brutally shot in the head and chest by terrorists. The siege took as long as 7 hours. The terrorists have been killed, but not before they caused unprecedented damage. The Taliban claims this to be a revenge attack for the army's operations against militants in the North Waziristan region of Pakistan. But could there be a more cowardly act by the Taliban than targeting young, innocent lives?
A mind-numbing massacre at the Army Public School, Peshawar.
एक रूम में इंटर हो रहे थे और जितने बच्चे और जितने स्टाफ वाले थे उनको मार रहे थे.
Gunmen stormed the school, entering through the graveyard with the sole intent to spill blood of innocents.
Well, we're going to use this Google map to show you the exact location of this school. The school is located on Wasak Road in Peshawar. This is a high security zone. It's right next to the cantonment area. This is the school. This is a senior wing of the Army Public School where this hostage crisis is unfolding. This is a junior wing. This, in fact, is the auditorium where an explosion was reported a short while back. This is a high security zone, barely 10 minutes drive from the airport.
एकदम पीछे से फायरिंग हुई, फिर एकदम आए सारी गोलियां चली, कुछ बच्चे हलाक हो गए. मेरे आंख के पीछे कमर पे गोली लगी है, बहुत सख्त दर्द हो रहा है.
As the children crouched under chairs and ducked behind doors, terrorists chased them down, going from one classroom to another, shooting them in the head and their chest, killing them one by one.
एक गेट उन्होंने तोड़ दिया, तोड़ के जैसे अंदर दाखिल हुए बच्चे सारे नीचे लेट गए और उन्होंने हर हाल में हमारी चेयर्स हैं, वो हर चेयर्स में आके उन्होंने बच्चों को गोली मारी. 3 अंकल को मैंने देखा है, बाकी और किसी को मैंने नहीं देखा. सब नीचे लेट गए. आधा घंटा फायरिंग होती रही, हाल के अंदर बच्चों को मारते रहे.
As the horror unfolded inside the school, Pakistan security forces surrounded the school. The area was sealed off. Choppers were pressed into service. Within 40 minutes of the siege, a TTP spokesperson claimed responsibility for the strike, announcing it to be a revenge for Pakistan Army's Zarb-e-Azb operation against militants.
मैं समझता हूं कि जब तक ये दहशतगर्दी से इस मुल्क को मुकम्मल तौर पे पाक नहीं कर दिया जाता, ये जो है ये जदोजहद और जंग ये जारी रहेगा.
As the injured overflowed and the blood supplies ran out, hospitals sent out desperate appeals for blood. Explosion after explosion rang out through the school as the Pakistan security forces pushed back the terrorists, evacuating the trapped students and staff.
उधर अटैक स्टार्ट हो गया. 7-8 लोगों ने हमला कर दिया हम पे. फिर एक आर्मी वाला ऑफिसर आए, हमें कहे टीचर्स और प्रिंसिपल्स को कहे कि आप जाए इन बच्चों को पीछे वाले गेट से निकाल दे.
The 6th terrorist was gunned down, but the operation was far from over. Army men were left to clear up the bombs planted all over the school, while parents of those killed in the strike were left to bear the heaviest burden of all, the coffins of their children. Bureau Report, headlines today.
As we said, this is the worst terror attack Pakistan has seen on its soil. 124 children have been killed and several more are in hospital. Now, the Pakistan Taliban claims that this was done to target the army because the army has been carrying out operations in Waziristan. But for the families of these young victims, no injustice is bigger than this. 16 December will be a day that Pakistanis will not forget.
Their children had cheerfully left for school in the morning. Just a few hours later, the children were back, their clothes soaked in blood, their eyes lifeless, their bodies limp.
मेरे दो भतीजे हैं, दो एक शहीद हो गया यार, ये मेरे सारे बच्चे हैं ना यार ये अब्दुल्ला शाह नाम है यार मुझे ये बताइए एक माँ बाप 20-20 साल अपनी मेहनत कर रहे हैं यार और आने वाले ने 20 मिनट भी नहीं लगाए यार। नवाज शरीफ के साथ सदर के साथ 100 गाड़ियां फिर रही हैं यार, बस है ना यार, खुदा को मानो यार पाकर भी आ जाओ यार, तुम ले लो यार, ये नहीं कर सकते यार, बस है ना यार, खुदा का वास्ता है, रसूल का वास्ता है यार।
Words failed at the unspeakable brutality unleashed by the Taliban terrorists. Eyes were brimming, hearts were full. Bleeding students were wheeled into hospitals. Those who could not survive were laid to rest in coffins.
दहशतगर्द जो है उनका कोई दीन ईमान नहीं है, वो किसी खुदा को नहीं मानते, किसी आइन कानून को नहीं मानते, उनको इतनी शर्म नहीं आई कि इन मासूम बच्चों का कसूर क्या था। वो दहशतगर्द भी बाप होंगे, किसी के बेटे होंगे।
पाकिस्तान की नाकामी है। देखिए एक इस वक्त ये वक्त नहीं है कि किसी को ब्लेम करना, लेकिन हम सब की नाकामी है, क्योंकि बच्चे तो मरे हैं, हम सब के बच्चे हैं।
Those who had survived narrated those moments when they had come face to face with death and escaped by a whisker.
टांगों पर सर पे गोलियां मारी और फिर जो है ना हमारी मैडम को चला दिया, हमारी मैडम को चला के बस उसके बाद फायरिंग होती रही, वो कमरे में आते रहे लेकिन हम हिले नहीं है, क्योंकि जो हिलता वो उसको मार देते।
Their barbaric message had been to kill the older children. Savages had slaughtered Pakistan's children. The world would remember 16 December 2014 as a black day for humanity. Headlines today in sympathy with the people of Pakistan.
The big question that we're raising, children as target, are terrorists essentially cowards? That's the question that we're raising here tonight on the news today at 9. Joining me now, K.C. Singh, former secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, Lieutenant General retired Shankar Prasad joins me. Also joining me here in the studio, Jyoti Malhotra with the India Today Group, and I'm also joined by Major General Atar Abbas. He will be joining me shortly, former military spokesperson of the Pakistan Defence Forces. We'll have many more voices through this program. I want to come to you, General Prasad, first. An army public school being targeted in Peshawar. What do you make out of it? Have terrorists simply lost any sense of humanity? Are we to even see them as people who have a conscience? People who can be reached out to? Do you believe that, could you ever believe that terrorists would attack a school in the manner that they've done? I know there have been attacks on schools in the past, like in Russia, but of this kind, and the manner in which teachers have been burnt alive and students have been shot in the head and chest?
This is perhaps the worst incident of terrorism that I have ever noticed. It's a very cowardly attack. It's an attack that needs to be condemned. It doesn't matter whose children got killed. Whenever children, such large number, get killed, it's such a painful act. It's an act that our hearts really bleed today. Having said this, we must go to the bit of a details of this, Rajdeep. It is President Ziaul Haq who started this concept of terrorism and insurgency against India. And since then, the Pakistan Army and the ISI has been supporting terrorism, has been nourishing it, has been implementing it against India. They've been funding it, they've been training it. The ISI is consistently training Taliban, the JU, the LET, and all the other militant regimes in Pakistan. The time has come now, and we have said it often, there is no difference between a good Taliban and a bad Taliban. And the time has come today that those snakes, as Hillary Clinton said, which Pakistan was keeping in their backyard, is now come to bite them. Today is the saddest day for humanity, saddest day for all of us. The only thing I can say today is Pakistan Army, Pakistan ISI needs to wake up and take stock. I've just heard Nawaz Sharif say, we will eliminate these people. He wants to escalate the aggressive operations. I do not know why he's saying this. Because a short while ago, some months ago, we were very clear that we heard Nawaz Sharif say that he was not in favor of a military operation in North Waziristan. And the army insisted on doing it, and without his approval, went and did this operation. This is the result of that. They want to eliminate the entire Taliban. Good luck to them. But they do not know what is going to hit them back as well. Today is a day where they must understand that terrorism is not the answer. Terrorism is not the tool to go to peace today. They must stop terrorism. They must stop insurgency against India. They must stop insurgency within Pakistan. Only then will these militants come to some understanding with Pakistan Army. Today Pakistan Army needs to take a lesson that they are the ones who are going to suffer more than what India is. India is a large country.
Can I hold on? General,
General,
I don't think this is a day to make this about India versus Pakistan. There are days when we make it about India versus Pakistan. We'll come to that, about the difference between good and Taliban and how Pakistan has sponsored terror. But today is a day to show empathy, I think, above all else. I'm going to come to my guest, but I just want to go to Farzana Bari. She's a human rights activist who joins me from Pakistan. Farzana Bari, how is Pakistan's civil society seeing what has happened today? Do you see this as a moment where the country will now come together, irrespective of ideological fault lines, political fault lines, come together as one and raise their voice against terror?
I think we are in deep shock, I think everyone. I certainly think that this is the moment where we have to stand together because we are together in grieving this huge loss. It's a national tragedy. And I think if this event should make us also, all stakeholders, civil society, political forces, as well as the military establishment, I think we have to, perhaps this is the event which really has to push us to turn this whole policy around, and put the basically push the country around. And I think if we are unable to do at this moment, then probably I feel we will not be able to do it.
Am I therefore to believe that there will be solidarity now across political lines, across, as I said, the ideological fault lines, that every Pakistani today will speak as one against anyone who takes up the gun, not rationalize it, not justify it in any manner?
Yes, I think at the moment, the sense is that we are all, united and speaking with one voice, and I think condemning this incident and also talking about that what needs to be done, and I think we all know what needs to be done, and so everybody speaking one voice. One hopes that this consensus this will lead us, for all the policymakers, or the decision makers to take the decisions which needs to be taken. I think we cannot afford to waste any more time, and we cannot afford to see any more tragedy of this sort in future.
Given what is being said, KC Singh, you've heard the Pakistani Tehreek-e-Taliban, when it claimed responsibility for it, they said it was a retaliation for Operation Zarb-e, which is being carried out by the Pakistani army in Fatah. Will there be any takers anymore for groups like the Tehreek-e-Taliban? Will they be isolated? Do you believe that such groups now, because in the past, politicians in Pakistan have been accused of flirting with such groups. Imran Khan himself, who today his government is in power in NWFP, he's been accused in the past of trying to make a distinction between good and bad Taliban. Do you believe that all these distinctions must go today after what has happened, this terrible, cowardly act?
Well, Rajdeep, let me join you in saying that it's really a dastardly, terrible act. Today there would be a feeling of unity in Pakistan, etc. But the tendency is that over a period of time, real politics, geopolitical considerations, political domestic considerations, they will overtake it. We saw that Imran Khan condemned the act, but he did not name TTP or condemn the TTP because he dare not do that. He cannot be moving about in that state. He's had their protection all through the electioneering. He and PMLN had the protection. So therefore, we'll be very naive to think that suddenly from tomorrow morning the shock will be so severe that we'll have a new Pakistan. I wish that was possible. But ultimately it's going to be all these mixed interests and considerations which will come into play, and ultimately it'll be the Pakistani army which will step up the campaign against TTP. Now that is unlikely to succeed because TTP has side links on the side with Haqqanis, with regular Taliban, even with the Punjabi groups.
Right.
So even those who are at the moment sponsoring the Punjabi groups may be quite mistaken because they have no control over all the foot soldiers who are moving around.
Right.
All those walls which had been created in Pakistan, they are broken. So in a radicalized situation, to de-radicalize a society is more difficult than simply, over a tragedy like this, waving a wand tomorrow morning and saying Pakistan's. I wish that was so. I wish Nawaz Sharif, as they say, puts his money where his mouth is and says we have to fight all of them. But then let him withdraw the trains from Hafiz sides. Let him not be supporting the Hafiz sides in Punjab. But as long as you play this double game or triple game or quadruple game, you will only have tactical success. Ultimately, you lose the war.
Can I just take that to Jyoti? Because that is one question that will be raised, that Pakistan tragically has become a victim of terror because for the longest time it has been a sponsor of terror. And this entire distinction that has been existed between the good Taliban and the bad Taliban, or terrorists who are seen to strike against Pakistan being evil, but those who become, suddenly become freedom fighters if they strike in Kashmir or strike against India. Do you believe that all these distinctions have to be obliterated in the minds of the Pakistani state in particular and the Pakistani army in particular? Because the army has been seen over the years as having sponsored terror, but now is finding itself on the wrong side of terror.
Rajdeep, I think this is a turning point for Pakistan. I think what you've said and what Casey has said earlier is absolutely right. The Pakistan army, despite all the criticism of playing the good Taliban versus the bad Taliban, and we're not getting into the India story, has refused to see the light. We've seen over the last several months how Shias have been massacred in Quetta, in other parts of the country, how other sort of minority groups within Pakistan, and I'm not only talking about the Hindus, how they've been killed, but the Pakistan army refuses to take lessons. But I think today is a turning point for Pakistan, and the reason I say this,
you actually believe it? Yeah, go ahead.
I think this is a turning point, and while the question whether the Pakistan army, whether it's a turning point for the Pakistan army or the deep state that we often like to call it, is a very big question, and I'm not sure I know the answer to that. But the reason I think it is a turning point is because there is such revulsion amongst the people of Pakistan, and they know. Today, if you saw the footage on television, people are asking the question, is this Islam? Is this what Pakistan was created for?
But
I think these big
can those powerless people take on the most powerful force in Pakistan, i.e. the army? Let's just listen in. The army's got a briefing which is going on. I want to cut to that briefing. I'm going to come to my panel, but there is a briefing going on of the Pakistani army. Just listen in.
तकरीबन SSG के 7 जवान उनको जख्मी किया, 2 ऑफिसर्स भी इस वक्त सीरियसली इंजर्ड हैं, और ये तमाम वो लोग हैं जो कोशिश यही कर रहे थे कि जो हॉस्टेजेस इन दहशतगर्दों के पास हैं उनको ये सेफली और जिंदा वहां से रेस्क्यू कर सकें। तो इस वक्त ऑपरेशन कंक्लूड हो चुका है, एक्सप्लोसिव की क्लियरेंस हो चुकी है, जो ये आईडीज बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे वो सारे का सारा मटेरियल रिकवर हो चुका है। इस वक्त वापस स्कूल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के हवाले कर दिया गया है और एसएसजी के ट्रुप्स वहां से मूव बैक कर रहे हैं। यहां पर एक चीज और मैं जरूरी आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि ये जो दहशतगर्द हैं, जब इन्होंने आके यहां कार्रवाइयां शुरू की और क्विक रिएक्शन फोर्स भी पहुंच गई, तो हमने इनकी मॉनिटरिंग की और हम इस चीज को अच्छी तरह से जान चुके हैं कि ये कौन सा ग्रुप था, ये कहां से बात कर रहे थे, ऑपरेशन कहां से कंट्रोल हो रहा था, लेकिन वो डिटेल्स मैं आपसे अभी शेयर नहीं कर सकता ऑपरेशनल रीजंस की वजह से, लेकिन इंशाल्लाह अगले 2-4 रोज में आपको खुद ही उसका अंदाजा हो जाएगा, बिकॉज उससे फर्दर अभी आगे हमारे ऑपरेशन कंडक्ट हो रहे। आज के दिन आर्मी चीफ भी कोयटा में थे। वो वहां से कोयटा में अपना दौरा मुख्तसर करके वहां से पेशावर पहुंच गए और कोर हेडक्वार्टर में मौजूद थे। उन्होंने एसएसजी को मूव किया।
That's the Pakistani army presser which is going on. General Shankar Prasad, Jyoti Malhotra seeming to suggest that this is a turning point for Pakistan. Do you believe it's a turning point? Or has Pakistan seen many such turning points and not woken up to the chilling reality that confronts Pakistani society today? That the very forces that you said at the start that they've supported have now turned inwards and will even not spare children anymore.
I sincerely hope the Pakistani army and the Pakistan ISI takes a lesson out of it, at least today. They have not learned anything about what is happening to people all over the world. We are very familiar with the term that Pakistan is the epicenter of terrorism at the behest of the Pakistan ISI and the Pakistan army. This is the policy of the Pakistan army to impose terrorism on India and within itself. And now they are, today I don't see Pakistan army mourning this. Pakistan army, while the whole world is mourning these hundreds of children killed, the Pakistan army is saying that we're going to go and attack these people and sort them out. Is that the response we are looking at? Pakistan army must understand that they must unite with the world, with all the world powers who want to fight terrorism. They need to share intelligence with everybody. They need to go after this terrorism as a world body. They must cooperate with India. They must help us in preventing terrorist incidents in India. Right. They must eliminate all the training camps that are across the line of control. He must eliminate and give us information about all the sleeper cells that are existing. So the point that today is a date when Pakistan army can take a lesson instead of going on another offensive and try and eliminate the entire so-called TTP. They need to understand that this is going to take them nowhere. They may do this for another 1 month, and 1 month later they'll have another similar incident by 3 or 4 or 5 TTP people who will go and suicide attack anywhere. So this is the day they must understand and say enough is enough. This policy must cease. The time has come to stop it, and we must join the world powers to eliminate terrorism from the surface of this earth.
Can I, Jyoti Malhotra, you were looking to respond to what General Shankar Prasad said. Do you believe that the Pakistani army has not woken up to that reality, is what General Shankar Prasad says? The other view is that they are going to go after the TTP now, that there is a full-scale war which is going on in North Waziristan. So the Pakistani army at the end of the day has now realized that they have no choice but to fight this force, this evil force. Yes, they may have been, in a sense, created by the operations that took place in Afghanistan 20, 30 years ago, but today they have no choice but to fight it.
I would put my money on that. I think the Pakistan army, the fact that they have launched an even bigger offensive.
Even though there are leaders like Imran Khan and others who, who today are seen to be sympathizing, flirting with the TTP, can leaders like that today afford to do that?
I think Imran Khan should be, I think that government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, I think they should have president's rule or whatever the equivalent is.
You believe Imran Khan's government has completely failed?
It's completely failed. It's ridiculous the way Imran Khan has refused to name the TTP. And this is despite being asked again and again. And I think the people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are really tired of the fact that he is playing actually with the devil and running with the hounds. And somebody like Imran Khan, who's, and by the way, there is a lot of talk inside Pakistan of how Imran's whole protest in Islamabad, in Lahore, over the last several months, several weeks, has been indirectly supported by the Pakistan army. And I think here is where the Pakistan army has to take a call. And I'll also say one last thing, which is that Nawaz Sharif, who has been hugely weakened these last few weeks because of these protests by Imran Khan and Tahirul Qadri, the other sort of preacher, I think this is an opportunity for Nawaz to take back that control from people like Imran, to take back the story from people like Imran, and also to wrest control from the Pakistan